Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Real Sports Updates here, back again with another video. So you see the title, you see the thumbnail. Let's get into it. The Chargers post-draft grade. So overall, before I start going down the list of picks, the 8 picks that the Chargers made, first let me say this. This grade, my grading system is not just going to be based off of one player. Obviously the picks and the success, the measurables, all that stuff, it does make a difference. But this draft in particular, and being a Charger fan, and understanding what Brandon Staley, Tom Telesco, and even Dean Spanos, the owner, understanding what they're trying to do, understanding that they are all on the same page, I'm classifying this as a philosophy draft. This is a Brandon Staley philosophy draft. And for that, I give it an A+. I give it an A+ because this is a philosophy draft and it's not just about one individual player. The philosophy part of this draft is about the Chargers becoming a physical trench football team. And that is the biggest takeaway from this draft. A trench football team with depth at the defensive back position. That is what my takeaway is from this draft. And it's not just about one individual player. This is a whole team philosophy thing. And I think, if you're a Charger fan, if you have been a Charger fan for any portion of time, you would understand that you're looking at a team, most years, just when the NFL season is about to start and you're looking at Charger football, you're looking at a team who is a finesse team, and a team that had to have success in the finesse portion of the game, right? And that's normally the passing part of the game, but that's what the Chargers had to do in order to have success. There were some years where, very, very few, but there were a couple years where, the Chargers were a little balanced as far as offense, passing, running, a couple years, but there was no philosophy behind what the Chargers were doing, right? You just had Phillip Rivers and you had, a bunch of talented receivers, Antonio Gates, go out there, throw the ball around the yard, and whatever happens, right? If we get into the playoffs, we get in. If we don't, we don't. And we try to go into the draft, go into free agency, and try to bring as much talent in as we can. There's no philosophy. It's just gathering talented players, hoping that they fit together and just going about it that way. This is a philosophy draft, and this means so much to me as a Charger fan, and as a football fanatic, because as I said in previous videos before, there has been one Charger team, at least in my lifetime, that has been a physical football team, not just physical on the offensive side, on the defensive side. There's one team that was physical, and that was the 06 team, the team that ended up losing in the divisional round of the playoffs to the Patriots and all that stuff. That's a different story, but throughout the season, they were a physical team, right? They were the #1 rushing team in the league, and I believe they were top 3 in stopping the run, and like top 4 in total defense. But that was a physical team from the offensive line all the way, to the receivers. It was a physical team from the defensive line all the way back to the defensive back. So it was a physical team all around, right? Marty Schottenheimer was the coach. Marty Ball, if you are old enough to remember that, then you know that the Chargers were a physical team. This team is going to mirror that, but it's going to be a lot better. And it's going to be built a lot better, and there's going to be way more opportunities for guys to shine, I believe, in this Brandon Staley philosophy year. This is philosophy draft. This is a philosophy year. And I was hyped after that first pick of Zion Johnson, because it showed that the Chargers are going to become a trench team. And I think that is very important, and everybody should look out for that this year, especially if you're a Charger fan. This also shows that the Chargers are not going to be reliant, and they're not going to be at the mercy of Justin Herbert's heroics, right? It's not. We all love Justin Herbert as a quarterback. We all love what he does, the arm, the talent, and everything, and all that stuff. But it is not fair wholly unfair to ask Justin Herbert to do what he did, the first 2 seasons of it. It's very, very unfair to ask him to do that for the rest of his career. Wholly unfair, and you would be setting him up to fail at some point, right? At some point, you're going to have some bad drafts. You're not going to hit on draft picks. You're not going to hit on free agents. The offensive line, whatever, defense is bad, whatever. You would be asking him to save your franchise every single season. It is wholly unfair. You cannot do that. You look at everybody. Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback in the history of the game, right? Tom Brady was not asked to save the Patriots every single season. And if he was asked to save the Patriots every single season, he wouldn't have 7 Super Bowl rings, right? Let's just put it where it's at. Like, you can have great elite quarterbacks, but your team has to complement what your quarterback does. And if your quarterback is talented and can do the things that Justin Herbert does, then your team is just going to be that much better. But you have to complement him, and you have to put the pieces around him in order for your team to have success and long-term success, right? You don't just want to go on a 1-year bender and have a great season, and then the following year have everything be like, we're kind of back to mediocrity, and no, you don't want that. You don't want that. You have to build a team, and when you build a team, it's built from the inside out, right? And you look at all the great teams who have had success, right? And not just the Super Bowl winning teams. I'm not just talking about Super Bowl winners, but I'm talking about teams who have had sustained success throughout the years, throughout the decades, whatever. There is a philosophy in the building, right? You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? They have gotten a little bit off of their philosophy in the past few years, but they've always had a philosophy, right? Pittsburgh Steelers football, right? Run the ball, stop the run. That's what their philosophy was for a very, very long time, right? Even the Ravens, right? The play like a Raven thing. It's physical defense. Starts on the defensive side of the ball. It's physical. It gets passed over to the offense. Physical running game, all of that stuff. There is philosophies in place, and I think this was the Chargers' philosophy, and this is the first time as a fan that I've seen this, and like I said, I could not be more excited for it. As I've said in many videos, the AFC West will be won in the trenches, and you can look at all of the passing stats, you can look at the weapons in the division. The AFC West will be won at the offensive line of scrimmage and at the defensive line of scrimmage. Brandon Staley understands that. Tom Telesco understands that. Everybody, the local regional scouts, everybody in the front office understands that. So this draft was based on and predicated on being a more physical team, getting more physical players, not just talented players, but physical players. Nasty guys, right? Guys that are going to engage a little bit after the whistle, right? Guys who are going to put their hat on you and drive you into the ground. This is what this draft was based on. And I see a lot of people talking about, we should have took a wide receiver and such, whatever, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It really just wasn't in the cards, right? And the Chargers have 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, right? It's not like, you're lacking in that position. It would be nice to have, more speed guys, whatever, but that doesn't necessarily go into the philosophy that, Brandon Staley was trying to get at in this draft, right? The Chargers brass, they're trying to instill a philosophy, right? And all of those little tweaks that you can make, right? That can come later, right? The Chargers can trade for a speed receiver in the beginning of the season. They can wait till training camp. The cuts that happen from other teams. There might be an undrafted free agent out there who can ball. There's a lot of different options when it comes to that. So and it's not an imperative thing that you would want to take away from your philosophy to go out and to get something that you kind of really want and don't really necessarily need at that time. And I think that's what the Chargers did. So I don't believe that it was a mistake to not take a receiver. I don't believe that at all, because I understood what the Chargers were trying to do with all 8 draft picks, all the way down to Horvath, the last draft pick. I said, oh man, like this is, I get it. I understand it. A fullback, you draft a fullback. We got a fullback, So that lets you know what the Chargers, what Brandon Staley, what the coaching staff is thinking this year. It lets you know what they are thinking. They are thinking that, hey, we're going to get in the middle of these games. We are going to play trench football, right? We're not going to ask Justin Herbert to be heroic. We're not going to ask him to make all of the throws that he made last year, right? We know that he's capable of it. We're not going to ask him to do that every game, though. There's going to be some games where we come in and we just beat the other team up and we run the ball 35 times or whatever, right? That would be amazing to me. That would be amazing. And as a Charger fan, if we are in games this year where Justin Herbert throws the ball 15 or 16 times, man, I would be ecstatic. Literally probably be on top of my roof, you know, waving the Charger flag. That's how important that this is, right? For team success, not just individual success, but team success, and building a team that has a philosophy. Because when you have a philosophy, you can plug in several different players. We've seen Bill Belichick, right? And I'm not comparing, you know, Brandon Staley to Bill Belichick, so don't even start that in the comments. But there is a philosophy in the building, and there are certain players that come out of college that will fit your philosophy. There are a certain group of free agents every year that fit your philosophy, right? There are a certain group of undrafted free agents that will fit your philosophy. It is about plugging guys into a philosophy. It's not just about talent. It's not just about, oh, this guy ran a 4.2, let's get him. It's not just about, oh, this guy had, you know, 45 reps of 225 at the combine. It's not just about that. It's about philosophy fits, right? And this is what is so important in building a championship team. And man, I mean, like, I wish I can just, you know, transmit my excitement to everybody else. Y'all should be excited if you are Charger fans. This is very, 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 we've never seen this before. We have never, ever seen this before. And if you're a Charger fan, man, just be on the lookout. The points that I'm making today, you will see, and I guarantee you will see it. You will see it this year, and you will see it down the line. Jamari Sawyer was a steal in the 5th round of the draft. Absolute steal. There were several, like I said, I was going through mock drafts. I seen Jamari Sawyer's name in I probably went through 12 to 15 different mock drafts. I seen Jamari Sawyer's name in the top 100 of probably 95% of them. You know, he was a guard. He was listed on most of the mock drafts as a guard. But if you pulled up his tape, you know, he played tackle a lot. And, you know, everybody by now has seen the highlights from the college football championship, even some of the national championship games as well too. Jamari Sawyer was a baller. He allowed 1 sack in 2 years, and you know, over over 27 games, 26, 28 games, whatever it was. He allowed 1 sack. He dominated Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo in the college football semifinal game, college football playoff semifinal game. This past season against Michigan, he dominated, and you know, these guys were very, very high picks. You know, Ojabo was gonna go top 15 if he didn't tear his Achilles, and Aiden Hutchinson went number 2. So he's a guy, big dude, physical, right? And I guess what I've been seeing and reading, I guess teams didn't like that he wasn't so athletic or whatever. I guess they didn't like his measurables, but the dude was a baller, and he allowed 1 sack. Like, I mean, measurables do count for something, but if there's a tackle out there who allows a tackle who played all 5 offensive line positions at some point in his career, right, and mostly played at guard and tackle, and this guy only allowed 1 sack over 26, 27 games in the SEC, for God's sakes. I mean, it's amazing that he went in the 5th round. But I'm actually glad that he went in the 5th round, because he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to be nasty next year. He's going to be competing for the starting right tackle position. Especially if the Chargers don't plan on kicking Matt Filer out to right tackle, he's going to be competing for that right tackle position. And I would venture to say that he is better right now than Storm Norton and Trey Pipkins. Probably just as a right tackle, if you just line them up, all 3 of them right now, he would get the job done probably more than other guys will. So that is definitely something that is going to be a huge advantage to the Chargers, to be able to find all these guys late in the draft, to be able to secure your offensive line, right? All 5 positions in the draft over 2 years, you know, and obviously signing Corey Linsley, it kind of kicked everything off in free agency. But man, this is it's gonna be something. It really is. It really is. It's gonna be something. The other takeaway, and last point that I'll probably get for this video: 3 defensive backs that the Chargers took in the draft. J.T. Woods, number 1. Jasir Taylor, I think it's Jasir Taylor, and Dean Leonard. All 3 guys, sub 4.4 guys. All of them ran 4.3. All of them ran 4.39 and lower. So what does this tell you? This tells you, again, this is a philosophy thing, right? And this tells you that these guys are going to be playing this year, right? They might not be starting or whatever, but they will be playing. And as far as the actual, positions, you'll hear more as training camp comes, because Brandon said he's gonna have to see what these guys can do, on the practice field and whatnot. But all 3 DBs, sub 4.3. This tells me, right, as a football fan, as somebody who, I think I know the game pretty well. This tells me that Brandon Staley wants to do some exotic stuff this year on defense to draft some of the fastest DBs out there, right? 4.3 guys. This tells me that Brandon Staley wants to leave some of these guys out on the island and do some exotic stuff up front this year. Be on the lookout for that as well too. I mean, a lot of people are skeptical of these dudes or whatever, and they have some good tape out there. These are young players though. They're young players from colleges that weren't, JT Woods was on a good team in Baylor. Baylor was a pretty good team. They made a New Year's Six bowl game in college football, but Jasir Taylor, Wake Forest, and then Dean Leonard, they weren't on the best teams in college football, but they did do enough to show that they have skills and put good tape out there. And I think that is something that if you are a coach or whatever, you see these traits in these players and you feel like you can work with them, right? You feel like you can coach them up. You feel like you can coach them up, especially in the scheme that you want to run. You feel like you can coach them up and improve their understanding of the game, right? And improve their understanding of not only their position, but football in general, right? What offenses are trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish. So I think Brandon Staley, Tom Telesco, they see traits in these guys, and all 3 of these guys, they all of them have speed in common. So speed and ball skills is what they have in common. And I think Brandon Staley sees that he can do some things with these guys, and they probably will play, right, in some nickel packages, some dime packages, things like that. So I think that this is, again, it's a philosophy thing, right? And if these guys, if one of them can't play, or if all 3 of them can't play, I don't think that it's far-fetched to say that the Chargers will be back in the draft drafting DBs who have speed again next year, because this is a philosophy thing. So, people, you can't just grade these picks, by themselves. I mean, you can, but it's not going to do any good, because you all you can go off of is what they did in college, and what all these kids did in college is not going to be the same thing that's going to be doing at the NFL level, right? The only person who might do the same thing they did in college is Zion Johnson, right? He might be asked to play the same position that he played in college if Matt Filer moves to right tackle. But that's all you have is college tape. So you have to understand these kids have traits that coaches, scouts have seen on tape, and obviously the Chargers brass feel like some of these traits that these kids have will translate into what the Chargers want to do. So you really can't even grade any of these picks, really. Like, if you have honesty and integrity, you can't grade these picks and say, hey, this guy's going to do this guy's going to do that. We don't know. JT Woods played safety in college. I made the video the other day. He is a skinny, he's a slender guy. He's not the biggest dude, right? And not that you have to be big to play safety, but he does have ball skills and he has speed. So he does, he could line up in the slot and be your slot corner, right? Dean Leonard could do the same thing, right? Jasir Taylor could do the same thing, right? You never know what position these guys are going to shine in. And they're going to have opportunities to show what they can do, mini camp, training camp, the preseason, all of that stuff. So you really can't project what they're going to do yet, because this is the first year of Brandon Staley's, philosophy that he's trying to install his philosophy. This is the first year. So this is the first go at it. So there's no exact science to get this right? You just have to keep getting into the draft, you have to keep, signing free agents and, hoping guys fit in, right? You can look at their trades, you can look at everything, their measurables and all that stuff. They can fit in from a paper standpoint, but if they don't have it between the helmet, then, what good are you doing, giving this guy A+ or an F or, whatever. So, but, at this point, all we can do is just wait and see. Like I said, these are philosophy picks. Everybody needs to chill and the people love to grade and all of this stuff, but just wait and see the philosophy picks, right? You grade other teams' players, grade the Giants or the Jets or whatever teams who just want talented guys. They don't care what they do or if they fit into what they're actually doing. They just want talented guys who have balled and had a name in the college space, right? At the college level, they just want guys. They don't care if they're good or not. That's not the position that the Chargers are in. The Chargers need guys that fit a specific philosophy that Brandon Staley wants to implement. And right, this philosophy is going to be physical, and it's going to be detail oriented and all the things that you hear Brandon Staley talk about when he talks to the media and things like that. But that's what the Chargers are going for here. So as far as the grades go, I really don't care. But as far as this entire draft class goes, A+, because we're gonna see the first year of what Brandon Staley, was thinking when he first got hired as the Chargers head coach. He's a guy, he knows history, he knows the history of football, he knows the history of the Chargers, the San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers, right? Nobody's ever been afraid to play the Chargers. Guys in the league don't expect to be all that sore after playing the Chargers. They don't get hit, you're not playing a physical team in the Chargers normally, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens going forward, but I give A+ for this draft here, philosophy draft. But that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. I'm not going to go down and just go off of what a player did in college. I want to see how they plug it into the Brandon Staley system, and we'll see if it works. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, the Chargers will move on and go into the draft again next year, looking for guys who are going to fit the specific philosophy. So, but that's all I got for this one, guys. Please, if you enjoyed the content, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. Have much more content coming out, much more Chargers content coming out. Now that the draft is complete, we can see free agency and all of that stuff, how the rest of that plays out. But we'll see what happens going forward, and that's all I got. So thank you guys for the support, and until next time.